Have you ever thought about the hidden depths in Bible's parables? What if I told you that for thousands of years, people have missed a secret message in one of the most well-known Bible stories? Today, we're looking at a tale that goes beyond a simple moral lesson. But before we reveal the deeper meanings, let me ask you, in life, what do you think matters more, inner motives or outward actions? Think about it for a moment. Our society is fixated on appearances. Social media stars highlight their charitable activities while religious leaders brag about their holiness. But is this indeed what actual spirituality is all about? Unbelievably, this statistic, according to a recent study, 68% of those who identify as religious confess to acting morally, mostly for social acceptance. Fascinating, isn't it? But what if I told you that this mindset is precisely what a 2,000-year-old parable warns us against? You might be thinking now, I've heard plenty of biblical tales before. What distinguishes this one especially? Well, get ready, since we will be testing all you believed you knew about one of the most misunderstood parables in religious literature. All right, let's start with this. Today's parable we are examining is the tax collector and the Pharisee. These days, I understand your perspective. Tax collector? Pharisee? In what sense is this relevant to me? Trust me, by the time this video ends, you will understand why this narrative fits your life more than you could have ever thought. Think about this. Two men go into a temple to offer prayers. One is a respected religious leader noted for his strict observance of religious rules. The other considered by a society as corrupt and sinful, a hated tax collector. Who would be closer to God? Given most people's inclination, you would most likely guess the religious leader. He has, after all, dedicated his life to following the rules. Here is where the narrative takes an unexpected turn, though. Standing tall and praying, the religious leader, let's call him the Pharisee, says, "God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I give a tenth of all of my earnings to you and fast twice a week." This looks great on the surface. He is expressing thanks by listing all his charitable actions. But this presents a challenge. Look for it. Now let us turn to the tax collector. Head bowed, he stands far away and merely says, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." The worst of it is that Jesus ends this parable by saying that it was the tax collector rather than the Pharisee who returned justified before God. But why? Here is where we discover the secret meaning buried in plain sight for millennia. The key lies in the internal attitudes of these two men. Despite all his good deeds, the Pharisee was consumed by self-righteousness and pride. He saw his behavior as making him better than others. Conversely, the tax collector approached God humbly, acknowledging his shortcomings and need for divine mercy. This parable transcends two men in a temple to include more. It is a profound reflection on our relationship with the divine and the essence of true spirituality. It forces us to think about our inner motives and go beyond our visible behavior. Let us dissect this with some contemporary illustrations. Imagine a local politician who every weekend helps at a soup kitchen. He ensures his staff takes lots of pictures for social media to highlight his community service. Behind closed doors, though, he is well known for taking bribes and manipulating policies for personal gain. Though on paper he is doing good, his inner attitude is far from humble or truly charitable. Now think about this in contrast to a high school janitor who constantly finds time to tutor struggling students despite his low salary. He listens to their difficulties, provides direction, and occasionally even shares his lunch with those less fortunate. Though they seem small in scale, his acts reflect genuine compassion and humility. According to the parable, what really counts in the view of the divine is this inner state, this humility and genuine desire to do good. Here, though, it gets quite fascinating. This parable comments on whole religious and social systems rather than only on individuals. How often do we find religious establishments emphasizing outward expressions of piety while neglecting the core values of compassion and humility? Now think about megachurches with their huge events and charismatic leaders. Are they truly promoting inner transformation, or are they unintentionally supporting a modern form of Phariseeism? Conversely, take grassroots movements driven not by recognition, but by a sincere desire to make a difference, which work quietly to solve social problems. These might be the modern counterparts of the humble tax collector. You could be asking now, does this mean all religious practices are meaningless? Not really. The parable isn't discounting good deeds or religious observances. It is rather urging us to match our inner attitudes with our outward behavior. It's about cultivating what some spiritual traditions refer to as poverty of spirit, that awareness of our own spiritual neediness and reliance on something greater than ourselves. Inner humility helps us to be open to real transformation and divine connection. How then can we apply this in our daily life? Here are some practical steps. Start by honing your self-reflection. Review your motives regularly. Are you acting out of true compassion or for praise? Second, practice thankfulness. Rather than comparing yourself to others, try to be content with what you have. Third, embrace vulnerability. When necessary, be honest about your shortcomings and seek help. Fourth, act quietly. Look for opportunities to serve others without expecting credit. And 5, listen more. Sometimes the most humble and powerful thing we can do is simply listen to others without judgment. Remember, true spiritual growth is not about perfection. It's about progress and keeping an open, humble heart. Let's explore further each of these practices. Self-reflection is crucial because it helps us uncover our true motivations. Ask yourself, next time you're about to post about your good deed on social media, why am I really doing this? Am I seeking validation, or is it to inspire others? Though it can be uncomfortable, true spiritual growth depends on this honest introspection. Gratitude helps us to see what we have rather than what we lack. Try beginning each day by noting 3 things for which you are grateful rather than yearning for others' achievements or possessions. Your perspective will be much changed, and humility will grow from this small habit. In a society too often equating strength with invulnerability, embracing vulnerability could seem counterintuitive. Still, there is great strength in acknowledging our shortcomings and seeking help. It helps us to grow as well as to establish closer, more genuine relationships with others. Probably the most direct application of the parable's lesson is serving quietly. Challenge yourself to do one kind deed every day without telling anyone. It could be as simple as quietly paying for a stranger's coffee or leaving an anonymous, encouraging note for a colleague. These small acts of kindness can benefit both the receiver and the giver. One sometimes overlooked aspect of humility is listening more. In our fast-paced world, we are quick to offer opinions and advice. Still, sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply listen to someone without judgment or interruption. This act of presence can be transformative and deeply healing. As we practice these steps, we may find that we are gradually shifting from a Pharisee-like attitude to one more like the tax collector. We begin to see our own shortcomings, as well as the universal need for grace and kindness. Crucially, though, this journey towards humility is not about denying our worth or punishing ourselves. It's about realizing our worth comes from something greater than our achievements or social status. It's about recognizing that each of us is equally valuable and equally in need of grace. There can be great freedom in this realization. We open ourselves to true connection with others, with ourselves, with the divine. When we stop trying to prove our worth through outward actions and start embracing our inherent value. I want you now to think about your own life. And can you recall a time when you acted more like the Pharisee? How about a time when you truly embodied the humility of the tax collector? Describe the feeling of each experience. What resulted? Comment below. Your insights might just be of help to someone else on their journey towards true spirituality. I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question as we conclude. In what areas of your life could you be acting like the Pharisee without realizing it? How might you shift towards the tax collector's humility? True goodness, then, is not about appearances or grand gestures. It's about cultivating a humble heart and genuine intentions. Ask yourself as you starting your day, do your actions match with your inner values? Are you striving for true goodness or just appearances of it? Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel if this exploration of Bible's wisdom resonates with you. We are on a journey to uncover more hidden truths that might transform our lives and deepen our spiritual understanding. I appreciate you joining me on this path of inquiry. Keep reflecting, keep growing, and most importantly, keep your heart open to the transformative power of humility. Until next time, embracing our own flaws and living with a humble, open heart might be the key to true spiritual growth. I'll see you in the next video.